For years, people disappeared in the same place. And no one realized what was really happening. Not at first. Because everything about this case felt ordinary. Too ordinary to suspect anything unusual. In the early 2000s, in Moscow, Bitsevsky Park was one of the largest green areas in the city. A place where people walked, relaxed, and escaped the noise of urban life. It was quiet. Familiar. Safe. Or at least, that's what people believed. At first, the disappearances didn't attract much attention. One person missing. Then another. Different ages. Different backgrounds. No clear connection. In a city as large as Moscow, people going missing was not unheard of. There were many explanations. Travel. Personal issues. Relocation. And without immediate evidence of a crime, these cases remained unresolved. But over time, something began to change. The number of disappearances slowly increased. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But enough for families to start asking questions. Enough for investigators to begin noticing patterns. Many of the missing individuals had last been seen near the same area. Bitsevsky Park. At first, this didn't seem significant. The park was large. Popular. Visited by thousands of people. But as more cases were reviewed, the pattern became harder to ignore. There was something connecting them. Something subtle. Something easy to overlook. And that's what made this case so difficult. Because nothing about it stood out immediately. There was no obvious suspect. No clear evidence. No witnesses who could describe exactly what had happened. Just fragments. Moments. Small details that didn't seem important on their own. But together, they began to form a picture. Some of the missing individuals had been seen talking to someone. A man. Friendly. Calm. Someone who didn't appear threatening. Someone who could easily start a conversation. This detail appeared in multiple reports. But the descriptions were vague. Nothing specific. Nothing that could identify him. And that was the problem. He didn't leave a strong impression. He didn't stand out. He blended into the environment. Which made him almost impossible to track. At the same time, another factor complicated the investigation. Many of the victims were individuals who lived relatively isolated lives. People who didn't have constant contact with others. Which meant that when they disappeared, it sometimes took days before anyone noticed. And by then, any trace of what had happened was already gone. This delay gave the person responsible a significant advantage. Time. And time was exactly what he needed. As the investigation continued, authorities began focusing more closely on the park itself. They increased patrols. They reviewed past incidents. They looked for anyone who appeared frequently in the area. And eventually, they identified a pattern. There was someone who seemed to be there often. Someone who knew the park well. Someone who moved through it comfortably. But at first, nothing about him raised suspicion. He was just another visitor. Another person enjoying the space. He had a routine. He appeared normal. And that's what made him difficult to notice. But investigators decided to look closer. They began to track his movements. To observe his behavior. To see if there was anything unusual. And slowly, small details began to emerge. He seemed to interact with people more often than others. He approached strangers. Started conversations. Built quick connections. And then, those people would disappear. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't obvious. But the pattern was there. Hidden beneath normal behavior. This realization changed the direction of the investigation. For the first time, they had something concrete to focus on. A person. A potential link. But they needed more. They needed evidence. They needed confirmation. So they continued watching. Quietly. Carefully. Without alerting him. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. And with each observation, the picture became clearer. This was not coincidence. This was not random. This was deliberate. When the moment finally came, the operation was executed carefully. The man was detained. Questioned. Observed. At first, he remained calm. Controlled. He did not react in a way that suggested guilt. But investigators had learned from past mistakes. They did not rush. They did not assume. They built the case step by step. Analyzing movements. Comparing timelines. Reviewing interactions. And eventually, the evidence became undeniable. The man who had spent years blending into the environment was at the center of it all. The investigation revealed how he operated. How he chose his targets. How he approached them. How he gained their trust. And how he avoided suspicion for so long. It wasn't about force. It wasn't about attention. It was about normality. That was his advantage. That was his method. And that was why it worked. For years, the case shocked not only the city, but the entire country. Not just because of what had happened, but because of how long it had gone unnoticed. And how easily it could have continued. If the pattern had not been recognized. If the details had not been connected. If the investigation had not changed direction. In the end, the case became a turning point. It changed how similar investigations were conducted. More attention to patterns. More coordination between cases. More awareness of how easily something can be hidden in plain sight. Because this case proved something important. The most dangerous person is not always the one who looks suspicious. Sometimes, it's the one who looks completely normal. The one who blends in. The one you would never notice. And the one you would never expect. And that's what made this case so difficult to solve. And why it remains one of the most studied criminal investigations in modern history. Because sometimes, the truth isn't hidden. It's just ignored. Until it's too late.